Seth.
And I'm Pyrosim.
It's been another week. We've done stuff.
The summer semester is almost over, which means that soon I will be able to remember what video games are again, because I have forgotten over the course of this week. It's especially tragic
It's like riding a bike.
because of the Steam summer sale, and I recently got a new computer, so it's like I have all of the gaming capacity in the world sitting right in front of me, and no opportunity to use it.
Yeah, my League of Legends friends have been noting that, hey, you've been on your computer an awful lot, but not on League. What gives? It's like, I've got so many new games to play.
I saw you were playing a little Bastion earlier on Steam.
I have been, and I'm prepared to talk about that today.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so talking about Bastion, well, this game is made by Greg Casada, who used to be an editor at GameSpot, and the way this game came about is basically he's been running Giant Bomb
Got the right one.
and decided, hey, let's make our own game. You know, we review games, why don't we just make one that we like? Because that'll be good. And it is. Like, I gotta say, playing Bastion, the idea is it's one of those 2D, 3D platformers. It's definitely in the classic vein of gaming. It feels like something that could easily have been on the Super Nintendo or the Genesis, if not for the absolutely amazing graphics in this thing. Like, Bastion looks fantastic. Everything has this wonderful, hand-drawn, cel-shaded look about it. All of the enemies are unique and interesting. The main character is kind of cool. I absolutely love the art style behind this thing. It's kind of like if Braid had been more of an action game than the puzzle platformer that it is.
I'm looking at Greg Kasavin, and I know he was
Kasavin.
affiliated with Giant Bomb because they sort of deigned to rate Bastion. Or, no, I think they actually did rate it, even though they were friends with the creator. But Greg Kasavin was an editor at GameSpot, and
Yes.
the history of Giant Bomb and GameSpot is that Jeff Gerstmann, the editor for Giant Bomb, used to be the executive editor for GameSpot, and then
There we go. There's the connection.
he got fired amidst some hullabaloo, and then basically everybody else left GameSpot in support, in solidarity with Jeff Gerstmann, and they founded Giant Bomb. And then
Yep.
the most recent development is that CBS Interactive, which owns GameStop, then bought Giant Bomb. So now they have like the same thing twice, kind of, with different editorial staff. But
It's kind of interesting that one still remains the more indie of the two groups, even though they're both owned by the same company.
yeah, it's very clear that Giant Bomb sort of does not have as much executive meddling as GameSpot, because
Yeah, because that's what it is.
CBS has figured out how that works, is that if you do too much meddling, then you lose all your talent, and they go form a much more successful indie joint.
Yep. So, the game centers around a world that's been torn apart by, at the start of the game, an unknown circumstance called the Calamity, in which the world itself apparently fell apart. And you, as the kid, are given the task of going around the world and collecting the cores to rebuild the new world. The game revolves around a basic left mouse, right mouse click, two weapons system, which is assignable by the player. If you want to run around with two ranged weapons, the game is not going to stop you. If you'd like two melee weapons, it'll say whatever, go ahead and do it. All of the weapons in the game are upgradable. They have scaling. As you level yourself, you gain access to more health, different moves, that kind of thing. You have a shield that's accessible via the spacebar, which unfortunately is also how you lock on to enemies. So if you want to guard a certain enemy, unfortunately if you hold shift, you're going to immediately lock onto and face the closest target to you. Which, that said, you don't always want to guard against the closest thing near you. You might want to guard against a turret that's further away. And guarding against one thing means that the turret can shoot you in the back.
So, I've played through the entirety of Bastion. I've beaten it. And
Okay.
it sounds like you're playing on a keyboard. I played on both a keyboard and a controller, and mostly a controller for the latter half. And if I remember
I do
correctly,
not have a controller for my computer.
Yeah,
It is
Bastion has pretty
So
good
easy,
native
just-
support for just plug an Xbox controller in. Some
Nice.
games are less good about it.
Just get a wired Xbox controller. Seriously, they're cheap.
Or you can even get an adapter, which I have for a wireless Xbox controller, since I don't have an Xbox, obviously. I was just starting from scratch to get a controller for my computer. They make adapters for USB to wireless Xbox controllers. But yeah,
Right.
you get slightly more control, unusually, over Bastion with a controller than with a keyboard.
Yeah, fair enough. One of the problems I'm having with the controls right now is that it's actually an art style problem. Basically, the soft edges on everything kind of undermine the platform nature of the game, as it is possible to fall off of the environments. The whole game is played with kind of levitating over the environment, and it's very possible to just fall off.
It's very tricky because you can't always see where you're going, because as you step towards an edge where more platform will be, the platform will appear very close in front of you. So if it seems like more platform is going to appear in a certain direction, and more platform doesn't, then you just fall to your death. Although the game is pretty forgiving about that, because it actually just kind of does 5 points of damage and respawns you right where you fell off.
Yeah, you just appear near where you fell. Still, it does get rather frustrating.
Uh-huh.
Especially when there are sections in the game where you specifically cannot fall. I'm thinking specifically the hunting weapon tutorial, where you have to walk along the falling path and shoot targets.
Right.
If you fall in that section, the section ends.
But those are only in the specific challenge areas, which are places that you're going to play repeatedly and sort of memorize patterns to get good scores on. There is never any requirement that you not fall in the story section of the game, I don't believe.
Right.
Although there is situations wherein the narrator will make fun of you for falling, which the dynamic narrator is a very important part of Bastion.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him. The narrator is by far the best part of this entire game. It's just like this gruff, Old West-style voice narrating everything that happens, describing the world as it was, telling the player what the character is doing. Like, there's enough dialogue in this game that the narrator has lines for when you're just standing around, or if you stay in an area to just destroy everything with your hammer. He's got lines for that.
The kid just rages for a bit.
Yep. The kid just swings at everything around as if he thinks it'll matter. Funny how that works.
So how far have you gotten in the game?
I'm about an hour in, and thoroughly enjoying myself.
The game, I'll tell you, appears like it's going to end a couple of times, and then events happen and it keeps going. So you might think it'll look really short, but it's got more to it. There's a giveaway to that because there's like an overworld map section, and you feel like you're going to finish the game when you're still in the way upper left corner of the map. You use the whole map.
Yeah, I mean...
So it kind of does that what was that movie, Australia?
Or Lord of the Rings
Australia.
Return of the King is also notorious for it. It just...
How many endings can our movie have?
Australia, which was a movie that came out in 2008, it starred Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman, had about 3, at least, fake endings, like, where it was like, okay, everything's closed off now, and it's still going!
Yeah.
Hey, we've got stuff to do. Where are you going? Why are you leaving?
It was very unusual.
Yeah, Bastion is pretty much just like that. But...
Nicole Kidman says you cannot go home.
How many characters have you met?
I have met the kid, the narrator, and the very...
The pyro?
The pyro? Yes, I know of the pyro.
That was a joke.
Yes. No, I've also met the friendly... what are those little things called? Squirts. The friendly squirt that's currently standing around the village.
I wouldn't have... You're right, that is a character, although I wouldn't have counted him if I was thinking. Or it. Mysterious floating blob of water, or maybe goo? Yeah, there's 4 characters in the game, but they tell a pretty compelling story once all of the humanoid characters
I am really not that far into the game.
There's
But for
there's
what I
story
played,
there, and it's interesting.
yeah, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It's interesting. It's cool. The combat is fun enough to keep me engaged. The combat actually really reminds me of Reciteer.
Oh yeah, it actually is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot like the dungeon sections there. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I think this is a really cool game. I like the work that's gone into it. Like, clearly the people who made this game understood the concept of, well, what do we like and want in a game? Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fantastic.
Like, the Metascore tells this tale for Bastion because I don't actually have this specific Metascore, but every review site loved it, so it's probably pretty good. And I will have to confer with you privately after you beat the game and see which ending you pick, because there's 2 endings. We'll
Oh god, is this an here's our ending buttons, please pick one?
No, actually, there is a fork, but it's based around a significant choice, and it's a little bit back from the actual end.
Fair enough.
It's well done.
Yeah, I'm currently playing that, and I've also gotten further in Skyrim.
Anything to report in Skyrim?
I did this quest where a child had run away from an orphanage and was attempting to contact the Dark Brotherhood, a group of assassins. I don't know if you've done this quest, Pyro.
I remember that. And you're supposed
I
to kill
recall
the orphanage leader?
Yeah, the head of the orphanage must die, according to this kid.
Oh, hey, I can say something about this.
Okay.
I remember the Dark Brotherhood from a previous Elder Scrolls game.
Yep, they're still
Hey.
around.
I was all over that. I was like, you mean I could be positively incentivized to be a sociopath?
Well, yeah, that's what seems to have happened, and it gets weirder. So, I go to Riften, and I find out that, wow, the kid wasn't lying. This
Is that
woman
one also run by
is
vampires?
a terrible monster.
It's funny because there's the kid is doing some ritual to summon the Dark Brotherhood, and
Which involves making an effigy of the person's body out of real body parts.
and you, who happen to be a member of the Dark Brotherhood, just sort of wander in. So the kid is like, the ritual summoned you, and but you're
Oh no,
I just
my
wander
character
everywhere.
totally isn't a member of the Dark Brotherhood. My character is in no way affiliated with the Dark Brotherhood, and this is where it gets cool. So I showed up, and I'm like, okay, I'll take your job, because my character's an amoral bastard. Goes to Riften, puts an axe in the back of the woman's head, after she finishes, ranting at the children about how they're never going to get adopted, and they're not allowed visitors anymore who would want to adopt them. You know, just pretty awful stuff. So I do that, and then as I'm leaving Riften, some bum runs up to me and is like, someone paid me a ton of money to give you this note. So of course I immediately killed him and took the ton of money.
Jesus. Did you read the note?
Well, you don't... All the note was a black handprint and the words, "we know."
That happens anytime you murder anybody, and that just means the next time you sleep, the Dark Brotherhood's gonna pay you a visit.
Well, yeah, I went to bed in my Wizard's Hold, because that's a piece of DLC I picked up, and I'll talk about that one in a minute. I went to sleep, and I woke up having been kidnapped and sitting in, a deserted cabin. So, immediately my first thought is, I'm so firing Lydia when I get back. It's you are not doing your job at all. I really wanted to ask her, did you kill Lydia? Because she really failed on this one.
Do you and Lydia sleep in shifts so that nobody can sneak up on you while one of you is asleep?
Right, I have 4 followers in my house. You'd think one of them would have managed to protect me. So this Dark Brotherhood woman who's sitting on top of a bookshelf is like, yeah, we saw what you did there, now you owe us a debt. So you're gonna kill one of these 3 people that we've got. And lo and behold, there were 3 people bound and gagged at the other side of the room. Well, not gagged, they could talk, they were just wearing hoods. And so you interview all 3 of them, and you realize that these are all wretched people who no doubt someone wants dead, and you just pick one to kill. And inevitably when you talk to her about it and you're like, did I pick the right one? She's like, there was no right one. All 3 of them had to die. I just wanted to see if you'd follow orders. And so they offer you to join the Dark Brotherhood, which I'm currently deciding if my barbarian character should be an assassin.
Dude, go for it. It is so much fun, honestly. Like, those little assassination missions were one of the only things that I really enjoyed about the last game.
Well, yeah, but that's Oblivion, and Oblivion
that
we've
is
concluded
making
was
my
just
way
terrible.
up the ranks.
The Dark Brotherhood storyline in Skyrim is really cool, and it's hinted all throughout the Dark Brotherhood storyline, but eventually you're going to get a contract to kill the Emperor, and that's going to take some crazy turns, but the ending arc is...
Spoilers, God.
It's not really a spoiler. This
is nerd talk.
You're an
Spoilers are
Assassin's
kind of
Guild,
what we
and
deal in.
they're right at the beginning. People want the Emperor dead, and have been trying to hire the Dark Brotherhood for you. And obviously, if the Dark Brotherhood is going to kill the Emperor, it's going to be you.
Right.
And there's the specific details of how that contract plays out are convoluted, but it's cool. So I recommend it.
So there you go. Yep, I'm gonna continue with this.
I wonder if this version is also run by vampires.
I don't know about that, but we do have some news regarding that such line. So, the month-long exclusivity on Dawnguard, the first official expansion to the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, has expired. So, it is no longer an Xbox exclusive. And Bethesda has said that by the end of this week, the DLC will be available on the PlayStation Network, and with the PC expansion coming shortly after. So pretty soon you will either be able to join the vampires of Skyrim or fight them.
Very exciting.
Also mounted combat.
Is that really a thing in Dawnguard? I missed that.
Yes, that is a thing that was added to Dawnguard.
That's what everybody was up in arms about for the beginning of Oblivion, was that everybody wanted mounted combat. That I felt like I had totally forgotten about it, but I guess that's cool that they added it.
Nope, that is now a thing. So, I've been experimenting with other features of Skyrim, and I'm finding playing it on Steam seems to be the right move.
Correct.
Mostly because the Steam Workshop feature is nothing short of amazing. So basically, this is a distribution and installation system specifically for games on Steam.
For user-created content.
Yep. What you can do is just browse all of the user-generated content, and then you'll just click subscribe, and it will add it to the game. If an update comes through, if the person who makes it decides to update something, by all means, it'll just update itself.
Modding has always been an important part of the Elder Scrolls games, but until Steam Workshop, it's always been kind of a crazy, archaic process where you're digging into the program files yourself, and it doesn't always work right, and you have to manually update everything, and sometimes mods conflict with each other. But Steam Workshop works that out automatically for you. That seems like a huge improvement. I haven't used it myself, but I have done plenty of modding the old-fashioned way, and it's sometimes hectic.
Yep. Well, I've installed a couple mods now, and am absolutely loving how easy the Steam Workshop has made it to do this.
So was your personal house one of those things from the Steam Workshop?
My house was one of those things, and I'm trying to find the exact name of the mod. Give me just a second. The mod I'm using is Kagranox Instant Fortress, and this was actually featured on one of GameSpot's top 5 Skyrim mods of the week, which is how I found it. So essentially what this does is it adds a crushed skeleton into the world at the far eastern portion of the map. It's just off of the northern exit of one of the barrows in the game. So when you go find this ring, which I'll tell you, it took me about an hour to find the actual thing. It is well hidden. When you find the ring, you put it on, and it instantly teleports you into the fortress. You just see a teleportation spell go off, and you're gone. When you go into the fortress, you see this little cube sitting on a pedestal in front of you, and when you pick it up, it deactivates the fortress and collapses it into the cube, returning you to where you were when you teleported.
Crushing your body into a tiny, gory pulp.
Nope, magic.
Magic
You're fine.
does it. A wizard did it, that's why.
A wizard does do this. In fact, it even says it, because the creator of this mod actually added lore books inside the house that explain the history of it, which is kind of awesome. So, from then on, you can take the cube that's in your inventory, and as long as you're standing in a spot where there's enough space in front of you, using the cube from your inventory will spawn the tower and instantly mesh it into the landscape so that it looks right. Like, if you spawn it in a higher place, the tower will extend further down to match the land, and will even create a platform connecting the ground with the tower entrance. It
Cool.
meshes seamlessly with every environment I have tried to create it in. I mean, mine is currently sitting outside of Whiterun, just off of one of the castle spires, and it looks perfect. Inside of it, it is an incredibly nicely furnished player house. It has everything you need: smith, alchemy station, enchanting station. It has some high-end items, but not like a ridiculous amount. You're not going to find like the best armor in the game just sitting there. In fact, I think the best piece of armor that was sitting there was like a pair of dwarven gloves.
Dwarven
So,
gloves
by no
are very
means is
good
this
armor,
like...
but also they weigh 1,000,000 pounds, so...
Yeah. By no means is this a broken mod. This doesn't just turn the game into easy mode. It's not like, yep, here's the best sword in the game with infinite enchant just sitting there. The mod also allows you to assign followers roles in the house. Cook, guards, guests. If your character has a spouse, they can join in the house. So basically, if you have followers, they will default to that location when you dismiss them, until you tell them to go away.
You can play The Sims inside Skyrim.
If you really want to. You can decorate the shelves of the house. There are tons of display placards to use.
That was always one thing that was hilarious about the built-in player housing in Skyrim, is that when you'd buy a house, everything would look really pretty, and there'd be plates on tables and books on bookshelves. But if the Dragonborn walks through there, like, the game is such that you will walk over a table, and you will knock all of the plates and glasses off of a table, and then there'll just be flatware scattered around your house, and it'll be like, oh, and there's no reasonable way to put it back on the
until
table.
the Dragonborn showed up.
It's just like, well, yes, sure, you are the savior of the world, but you're a big oaf who just climbed over the dinner table and knocked all the dishes on the floor. Now you can't pick them back up again and put them back on the table. So you kind of can.
I'm sorry,
because of
you're too clumsy. You can't pick things up.
physics engine, but it's really hard to put things back on bookshelves, especially.
Yep.
But that sounds cool. Does the Steam Workshop support paid content? Or is this all free?
No, it does not. Everything on the Steam Workshop is free. At least as far as I know. I can't think of anything that's actually pay on here.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
Pixie. According to Steam, it looks like you were playing some Borderlands the other day. Do your
It's
opinions
creepy
on
that he's
that?
now
By the
tracking
other
our
day,
gaming habits.
yesterday, then yes. Also, I told you that.
Nope, you can just look it up now.
Do your opinions on Borderlands echo the ones we've stated previously?
Well, I'm not going to recall everything you've ever said about it, but, I can see definitely your comparisons of it to an MMO. I was playing last night with Brad, who bought it for me yesterday, and basically, I'm just like, oh, well, I want to play the only girl character, of course. Oh, well, you don't want to give me a sniper rifle? That's fine, I'm just going to take it and use it anyway.
Borderlands is nice in that the class system is kind of unbalanced, such that I think the soldier has the best special skill, but in terms of actually using specific guns, anybody can use any gun, and you just rank up by usage. So the classes don't make a ton of difference in that regard.
Yeah, so Brad was playing as the soldier, and basically just soaking up fire so that the enemies could stand still long enough for me to pick them off from a distance. It worked out pretty well. I was just like, I can turn invisible, why wouldn't I take the sniper rifle?
Absolutely. You can turn invisible, and when you stop being... Well, both when you become invisible and stop being invisible, you explode and people around you get hurt.
That's not, terribly useful from like 100 meters away.
No. But if suddenly you get swarmed by skags or something, then you hit your special ability, you go invisible and they can't find you. And they die.
Damn skags jumping out of nowhere.
Like actually, the skags don't bother me quite so much. It's the frickin' bird things.
Oh, yeah, the rack.
Those are annoying. They don't sit, it's very hard to get a good shot off on those.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal... I only played the Lilith, the Voidwalker, until level 5, right after I killed Nine Toes. And the wrecks show up shortly after that part.
Level 9.
And at that point, I switched to a soldier. And so anytime I had to deal with rack, I just dropped my auto turret. And my auto turret is like perfect aim because I'm a robot, and it just takes all the rack out.
Yep. Actually, I've gotten really good at just shooting those.
But we have enough people that...
Yeah, well, I mean, what I just do is, at that point, I just switch to the SMG and just unload and hopefully something
fill the
hits.
air with bullets. The rack will fight in the shade.
That is basically the plan. So I switched between having an SMG for medium to close range, and then I have the sniper rifle for before the enemy notices that I'm there yet, and so between the two of those, I'm pretty much mopping the floor with everything, so the difficulty hasn't been a thing with me, and yes, I play with my Xbox controller.
Sounds like a pretty good strategy.
I cannot do shooters with a mouse, I just can't do it.
We have enough people that if we all got our schedules together, we could play a full party in Borderlands.
I don't know, Pyro, what do you play?
Well, I have a soldier and a Voidwalker, but I would probably go with Brick or the sniper dude if we were getting a party together.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Mordecai
I'm just
or something?
having stupid fun as the soldier, because really, you just drop that turret, and it's like, yeah, everything's gonna die.
The turret shields you, and it regenerates your health and bullets, and kills everything.
Yeah, Brad was playing as the soldier, and he was speccing into healing.
Yeah, it's...
Although I am definitely thinking Brick might be fun.
I wonder what Brick's skill tree is like, because his introduction is hilarious, because it's always... It's on the bus in the opening cutscene, which is unskippable, by the way. Unforgivable. Game developers, if you make a game with an unskippable cutscene in 2012, then you can just catch on fire for all I care. I would not urinate on you to put you out if you caught on fire. I especially complained about this.
Cool music.
Basically what he's...
Because I wanted...
What he's saying is, we can't be friends anymore.
This is why we can't have nice things, is because you're bad. And I especially complained about this because in Borderlands, I wanted to try the different classes. So I was like, okay, I'll try one class for a little bit, and then I'll try another class a little bit later. And the opening cutscene is like 5 minutes long, and it's unskippable. And you have to go through it to make a new class.
And then he got your stupid, really good song stuck in his head,
so,
and he was super angry.
Pyro, did I break something then? Because I never saw an opening cutscene.
I don't know. Maybe. I was trying my best to skip it unsuccessfully. But there's a...
I never saw one. I was just like, stuff's loading, whatever. And I just got dropped right in. I had no idea what was going on.
Maybe were you starting your game in multiplayer mode?
I think
That
so.
probably is the trick.
There's your answer.
Yeah, but in the there's a scene on the bus when you're pulling up to Firestone, the main starting town, and on it, it's introducing the characters as Lilith, the Voidwalker, Roland, the soldier, and then Brick. His class is Brick, and his name is Brick. It was a pretty funny introduction. It might be interesting
to play. Do we really need more of an answer? Oh,
sorry?
Weekend Madness, War for Cybertron is on sale.
That seems like while the Steam Summer Sale has ended, the sales have not really ended because Borderlands was super cheap.
And in fact, if you buy Borderlands now, through the end of the weekend, I believe you can get a deal where you get Borderlands 2 for $10 off.
The indie bundles from each day of the summer sale are now all available at their summer sale prices. Which, the indie bundles from the summer sale, I felt gypped on because I always owned like 2 of the 5 games. And it's like...
Because you, in fact, always buy the humble indie bundles when they come out.
I do, because I can pay my own price, so why would I not? I just pay like $1 each, at the very least.
You definitely have to reward those kind of things.
Yeah. And I have, in practice, paid like $10 each for each humble indie bundle. And because you can name your own price, there's not really a decision-making process involved in getting a new one. You just pay a minimal amount, and then they even let you increase your donation amount after you've bought it if you decide you like those games. It's like, yeah, just start at $1 and maybe go up if you like it.
There you go.
But that meant I couldn't buy any of the Steam indie bundles because the value propositions were off because I'd be rebuying games I owned. Oh well. I did buy Jade Empire, which I played a long time ago but don't remember very well, and I'm definitely going to have...
Yes!
I'm excited to play it again.
I was telling everyone, if you have not played it, that you should play it.
It was very cheap right after the summer sale ended. The deals never stop.
Nope.
There's always something on sale.
So, did like the Olympics start or something? I've heard the word
Olympics
bandied about.
I spent my Sunday evening at work watching the utter train wreck that was the opening ceremonies.
I didn't see any of that, so I know nothing about this. Please explain.
Okay, and unfortunately they don't appear to be up on YouTube right now. But basically, Britain went, hey, we've got the Olympics, which, you know, sports. Let's throw a play. Because, like, the scene that drew my attention first was, they basically reenacted the history of England from the Industrial Revolution all the way up until modern time.
The one image I did see on Twitter was of the Queen of England looking over the Olympic procession, and it's captioned, "Look at all these countries I used to own."
There was a scene of the Queen of England parachuting out of an airplane into the stadium.
Really?
I doubt it was actually her.
There's also a famous image on the internet of the Queen of England holding a large assault rifle. Apparently she does do some fairly extreme things. Like, skydiving is pretty intense, but they had an effigy of the Queen skydiving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, to say the least. Like, I watched it. There was a scene with Mr. Bean. He came. I can't remember his real name. Roland something. But yeah, like, if you have a chance to watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics, do it. You will never see anything like it again. It will hurt your brain. Like, we were looking over every couple minutes and just thinking, what are they going to do next? We can't even predict this. Like, there were scenes with the Rolling Stones. I think I saw Roger Waters. It was something to behold. I can definitely say that. I'm not sure what I was beholding, but wow.
So where are the Olympics? They're being hosted in England? That's why...
They're in London this year.
Well, that's why all the hubbub about England.
Yes.
I don't mean to be too much of a hipster about I have not been able to follow the Olympics at all. It's just that I've only been doing differential equations all week long.
Oh no, the Olympics has been on at my work constantly since they began. One of the 2 TVs that we have has been the Olympics all week.
Have any exciting events happened?
The last night when I was in, it was men's gymnastics, which I really had no desire to turn and watch. So I just kind of went and took care of my tables and made some decent money and was like, yep, I've had about enough of this.
Evidence from Twitter states that friend of the show, Courtney Terry, who will probably see at Gen Con, was watching that event of the Olympics.
Fair.
It was also a mod at Giant Bomb, so it all comes full
Indeed.
circle.
There we go. It all comes around in the end. So yeah, they're happening. I don't have a lot of interest in the Olympics. Like, I glance over every now and then. I saw how the men's kayaking ended because it happened to be on at the moment I was walking past the bar.
It is novel to hear what sports are Olympic sports and not. As it seems funny
Yes.
that kayaking is an Olympic sport. Also,
Apparently
table
there's
tennis.
one that's just dressing up your horse and riding it by.
Olympic
Yes, have you seen? Oh my gosh, I need to show you this picture of
Olympic
like
faffing
2
about.
gay British dudes riding
I
their
got
horses.
a gold medal in faffing
and
about.
like they're wearing top hats, and it's great.
Awesome.
I'm trying to find the definitive list of Olympic sports. Oh, I found it.
Another weird thing about the Olympics that I did not know until the previous Winter Olympics is that in order to be an Olympic athlete, you cannot be a professional athlete in anything
Yes.
other than the Olympics. That seems like a crazy restriction, because it's like, that means the people who do the Olympics don't have anything else going for them. As soon as they're out of the Olympics, their lives are empty.
Yep, that is it. Actually, no, because at that point you can coach whatever thing you were doing. Dressage. There it is. I found it.
Dressage.
Dressage is literally the competition of dressing up your horse and riding it past the judges.
Pixie has sent me an article about openly gay Olympians with some pretty cool pictures in it. I'll put that as a link in the YouTube video and in the post.
Again, gay dudes on horseback with top hats. I'm just saying. that just won
Dressage.
the
There it
internet.
is.
That dude is wearing a top hat and also like riding
Riding a
boots
horse.
and white
The only way it
pants.
could be better is if they also put a top hat on the horse.
That would be awesome.
Yep. That is an Olympic sport, folks.
There's a lot of images from Olympic table tennis where they all look super derpy because the athletes are looking at the ping pong ball, which is very close to their face, which means their eyes are cross-eyed in order to be looking at this thing that's very close to them. But then they just
Sounds
look
wonderful.
super derpy. That's a pretty good gift set. I'll link that too.
Like, I understand the importance of the Olympics and why we do it as a civilization. I don't understand why riding a pretty horse is a part of it. But whatever, I'm sure there are, like, people who spend their whole lives practicing their dressage
Hey, I'm all for riding pretty horses. I don't know.
in top hats.
The distinction between competitive things that are Olympic and not Olympic is weird. Like, I understand competitive dressage, even. I don't understand the Olympic dressage.
I want to see competitive tug-of-war, which apparently used to be an Olympic sport.
Yeah, that's like a Greek Olympic sport. Back in Olympus. Raw. Let's do it.
Rawr.
Let's make it happen.
I don't think we would survive as a tug-of-war team.
Nerd Talk would like to announce this week their candidacy for the 2016 Olympic tug-of-war
team
event. So 2 things. We're going to be a team, and also the event is going to get instituted. So we have a long road ahead of us.
So I do have a news story I'd kind of want to talk about. So apparently the beta testers of the upcoming PlayStation All-Stars game decided that they would dig inside the code and try to find out who was coming to the game who hasn't been announced yet.
And they found quite a bit.
Yes.
I'm unclear on if this is a mistake or a deliberate leak, because all the coverage I've seen has been that it was just a mistake and the beta testers dug into the code and found this stuff. It seems like maybe it's a good way to get some press.
Right.
But either way, the list is...
While we blame those evil hackers.
Yes. The list is about what I'd expect. It has Evil Cole from Infamous, Sackboy from Little Big Planet. I don't have it in front of me.
Raiden from Metal Gear Solid. Dante, and that's the new Dante, by the way, from Devil May Cry. Nariko from Heavenly Sword. Ratchet of Ratchet and Clank. Who didn't see him getting in? Sir Daniel Fortescue from Medieval. Awesome that someone remembers that game. And Spike from Ape Escape.
So these are all pretty notable first-party Sony characters.
Well, I have to wonder how much differentiation is there going to be between Cole and Evil Cole's moves. Admitted, it's a Smash Brothers style game, so it's not going to have the deepest fighting system ever.
I want Cole and Evil Cole to transform between each other, Sheik and Zelda style from Brawl.
Yeah, you'd think that would have been a thing for the one character to do.
While I was saying that these are all pretty obvious picks, actually, Sir Daniel Fortescue, what a pull! That's kind of obscure.
I know, right?
That's a little impressive.
That's kind of awesome. The issue I'm kind of seeing right now, though, is that currently in the game we have 2 female characters, one of them being the Fat Princess and the other one being Nariko.
I'm not sure Fat Princess is really a female character so much as, like, a Katamari.
No, it's a female character. That is a female character in this game. I'm also super excited that one of the levels is from Loco Roco, which looks awesome.
It does look pretty cool.
Like, overall, it looks like an interesting idea for a game. I don't know how much quality is going to be here, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
That's absolutely an interesting idea for a game. Let's make Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash
With
Brothers is
PlayStation
pretty
characters.
Good. Different characters are interesting. I will probably go over to somebody's house if they have a PlayStation and this game, and play a bit of it.
Fair enough.
I guess. I have no reasonable way to hope that this would be available for PC, so...
No, that
Obviously.
ain't gonna happen.
Oh, that dampens my ability to play this a bit. But it looks interesting nevertheless.
So, on other notes, Gen Con is 2 days and 2 weeks away.
2 days! Oh my god! It's
That
just
was-
2 days away!
I was gonna say that was a really deceptive pause there.
I know. It was intentional.
I'll just have to wait until 2 weeks from now to post this, and then it'll be very confusing.
He can just edit my voice. Heck, Pyro can edit my voice to say anything he wants,
Yes,
really.
Gen Con is 2 days and gargle gargle I like dicks away.
I'm sure he's thought about doing it before.
I'm thinking of all the really bad things we could do right
But now
now.
I just have a sample of me saying I like dicks to put
Exactly.
in the archive whenever I need it.
Exactly. Precisely.
Here, let me give you a hand.
So yeah.
So, let's see.
The other day I bought this vacuum and it really sucks, but the guy who sold it to me was a huge dick.
Perfect.
So Brad Jones is a giant bag of dicks, and I like ice cream. That should be a nice, easy edit for you.
So, viewers, listen till after the closing theme for a compilation of the best samples of the show.
When Pyro has spare time, the world suffers.
So, do we have any notable guests announced for this Gen Con? Because I'm very excited about it, but I haven't actually seen a guest list. Guess we'll have to...
I've been getting emails about them, actually. Which I will forward to you. Stimulating radio as Nerd Talk navigates the internet.
Whatever, I'll just edit this part out. Guest list.
Will Wheaton,
Guest
of
honor
course,
announced.
who just celebrated his 40th birthday with Don't Be a Dick Day.
Is now to become an annual event.
I hope
Kristen
so.
Bauer, who was a vampire on that show True Blood.
I've never seen an episode of that.
Neither have I. I hear it's a lot of fluid.
it's extremely porny. In my house is a DVD box set, and I'm not sure how it got there, but I have seen bits and
But
pieces
apparently
of it.
she was also on Star Trek Enterprise. So...
Really? Does it say as who?
Yeah. She's with credits on many major television shows. She has appeared on series including... it lists Star Trek Enterprise, LA Law, Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, Dark Angel, CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, and she also stars in the recently renewed fantasy TV series Once Upon a Time as Maleficent.
Oh, exciting.
How did we forget that Nichelle Nichols is going to be there?
I'm afraid that name doesn't mean anything to me. Enlighten me.
Uhura.
Oh.
Uhura from the original Star Trek.
Oh yeah, I remember
Very
that.
cool.
Yep. She's going to be there this year.
I remember receiving an email about that.
She'll be doing autographs Friday morning and Saturday.
There is no bloody way.
No. I'm not a collector of autographs, so that's just it.
15 days till Lindy. Yay.
Yep.
Alright.
Of course, we won't be getting there until Friday.
Yes, we will be arriving Friday in the between like morning and noon. And then there will be stuff.
Woo.
I don't know, are we going to try for a live broadcast again?
Absolutely.
Or not live, but a recording at least.
At the very least, I look forward to doing a show without the barriers of latency, because actually, just the other week I was listening to a fairly major podcast, This Week in Computer Hardware, on the Twit network, and they had a show that was done in person and a show that was done over Skype, and I was like, yeah, latency really does affect the dynamic of these conversations. It's way better when it's snappier. I definitely want to do a live show.
Alright then. Like, unfortunately, we don't have a ton to cover this week, just because Pyro's been too busy to play games. I've been still playing games from the summer sale that we already talked about, and covering more League stuff.
Like, next week, I'll probably be able to ruin the world, because I have this copy of From Dust, I have this copy of the Telltale Walking Dead, I've read Faction Armageddon, Metro 2033. We haven't covered any of these games, and they're all just sitting here waiting for me to play.
So we'll be talking about these next week.
On Nerd Talk.
Yep, I don't have anything else. If
yeah, I'm done.
Pix, you got anything?
So, this show ran kind of short.
That's fine.
It's fine, because we're ramping up for the Gen Con shows.
Oh, what are we... Yeah, what are we doing next week?
Every game in my Steam library now that I won't have class next week, including Metro 2033.
I don't think you can play all of them. Well, I don't think you can play all of them, and also the two of us need to do something.
It looks like the new League Champ's going to be out this week. Diana, the Scorn of the Moon.
Okay, so you and I are playing League then.
We'll probably do some League.
Down to.
And I forgot, I think a game is coming out next week.
You think a game?
Sorry, a game I am interested
one?
in. I guess I should qualify that one.
Grand Theft Auto 4.
I'm being very pedantic, I know.
It
Let's
happens.
see.
Let's see. What is
Racketeer.
coming out game-wise?
Malicious, Deadlight, Awesome Knots, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance.
Oh god, we've had another
Persona
Sims
4
announcement.
Arena, Dragon Quest X.
The Sims 3 Supernatural, in which witches, wizards, fairies, werewolves
I
all
didn't
get added
like
to the
the
Sims 3.
magic-related one from Sims 2. Maybe I will like this one better, but...
Here's the official
Also, it's kind
tagline.
of weird to me that
Create witches, wizards, werewolves, more intriguing vampires, and fairies, each with their own magical abilities, traits, and interactions. Also, zombification is now a thing.
I don't know how to work fairies in, but it could be.
it seems weird to me that in the Sims 2 line of expansions, werewolves were added in the pets expansion.
Yes.
That was where those came from. It's weird that we had a pets one and it wasn't in that.
Nope,
You know?
now it's its own expansion that comes with tons of different new stuff. I'm glad that we're stepping back from the line of the last expansion. You know, Katy Perry's Showtime. Because we respect her as an artist here on Nerd Talk.
I have enjoyed some of her music.
An artist who shoots whipped cream from her tits. Actually, an artist who shoots something from her breasts in every video she's ever made.
An artist who was rejected for an appearance on Sesame Street just because her boobs were too big.
Yep.
Is that really
is
a thing?
exactly what happened. And it was all
Wow.
kind of disappointing on all sides. Like, nobody handled the issue as well as they should have. Sleeping Dogs,
continuing,
Darksiders 2. Did you ever pick out the name of the game you wanted?
Darksiders 2 is the one I was specifically looking at, but it looks like it won't be released until, the week of Gen Con. So we'll have other things to talk about then. Dishonored does look really interesting, though. Like, that is one I definitely want to play.
Well, I have seen some pre-release coverage of Darksiders 2, and I want to say, we have War is the protagonist of Darksiders 1, and then Death is the protagonist of Darksiders 2. And I feel like they've kind of painted themselves into a corner for the next two games, because
What is Pestilence
neither
going to be
Famine
next
nor
one?
Pestilence are nearly that glamorous.
They replaced Famine in the Darksiders mythology, though.
Oh?
Yeah, give me a second. I've got this.
I'm looking at the character list on Giant Bomb. They have Death, Despair, Fury, Strife, and War.
That's right, they replaced Famine with Fury, who is actually the only female horseman.
Fury and War seem kind of redundant. They've got, like, the same kind of stuff going on. Mix the Deadly Sins and the Horsemen of the Apocalypse together. Call it a good
Strife
time.
actually looks kind of cool because he's the gunman of the Four Horsemen.
I want to play Lust as a Horseman of the Apocalypse. That's it. Protagonist of Darksiders 3 is Lust. We ran out
Lust
of
isn't one of the
glamorous
horsemen.
horsemen, so we went to Seven Deadly Sins. And then Avarice. And instead of, like, a Zelda game, the one with Avarice is just, like, a economic simulator, and you commit embezzlement and make all the money you can.
Apparently, the remaining two horsemen will appear in Darksiders 2. So, who knows, maybe they'll be playable characters.
Alright.
Yes, I will be picking that up. Probably won't be playing it the week of Gen Con, because, things to do.
Be it Gen Con.
Right.
But at some point.
But at some point, it will happen. I enjoyed the first Darkstalkers enough to want to continue playing that game.
Darkstalkers is a totally different game.
Sorry,
I'm trying to
Darksiders.
figure out how one would play a zombie sim.
I imagine you just walk around town and eat people's brains.
Arma 2 mod DayZ has told us all about that. As you crawl around in the grass.
No, I mean in The Sims.
And then some jerk runs up next to you, giving away your position.
Well, I mean in The Sims explicitly.
You
like-
said zombie sim, and I was like, zombie simulator?
No, as in the person who is
Yes.
a zombie in the Sims game.
Indeed.
Uh,
They have a hunger motive that can only be filled by brains.
I wish it was that cool.
That would be a pretty cool way to do it. They only have one motive, and that's hunger. And instead of like a green and red bar, the bar just says brains.
Yep, it never fills.
I do think it is cute in The Sims 3 how when vampires sleep, instead of it saying ZZZ over their head, it says VVV.
V.
It's like, ha.
Yeah, it's without a doubt a well-designed game. The only issue I have with it is I don't want to spend $30 every couple months to add new crap to it. I don't have that much motivation, and so when it comes to the point where I'm actually like, hey, you know what, I think I could play The Sims for a couple hours, it's like, yeah, if you want to spend $90 to get everything that's come out.
I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the features listed for the zombies. It can try to attack Sims.
Yep.
Tend to go slower than normal Sims. Can be a zombie by drinking a potion or having another zombie sim to bite. There's a cure. You can also transform them to become zombies permanently. Zombies cannot woo.
Oh.
Aww. We are
Also, they will try to destroy your garden, apparently.
we are really fighting to keep that teen rating at this point.
Well, there is a lot of woohooing in The Sims. Up to, Pixie was playing The Sim in the Inventor track recently, and one of the inventions that's possible is a time machine. And then you can woohoo in the time machine, and that has wacky chronological effects.
Such as...
Potentially you can conceive a child in the future, who will then maybe be born in the future and come back to visit you as already an elder.
I am so confused as to how that would work time stream wise.
I don't understand either.
Moving on.
I'm going to send you a relevant picture now that this has come up. Pyro. Check your email because that's going to be awesome.
I was unclear on all of the specifics of time machine woohooing myself, but the fact that there were zany consequences for having sex in a time machine was all you really needed to know.
Yup.
Alright.
It just keeps getting weirder. So for now, this has been Nerd Talk.
I'm Pixie.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Pyrosim.
And we'll catch you next week on Nerd Talk.